Good evening, everyone, and welcome tonight. 9:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:01 out in California, 4:01 in Ukraine. And for our Australian viewers, which we have quite a few, 10:01 in the morning. I think you guys are plus 13. You were messaging in. At least somebody in Australia is 10:01 a.m. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your support. More stuff was arriving today here into our, it's become a warehouse now here in northwestern Pennsylvania. Will be shipped out very, very soon, and more is on the way. So a big thank you. Thank you to all the moderators keeping the chat clean, keeping it active, engaged. Make sure you share the video, drop a like, comment. I think a lot of guys like to say, smash that like button. Well, go ahead and smash it if you want to, but don't break your phone or your iPad or your computer. So thank you for being here and helping us get the truth out. In fact, received a lot of comments today on videos we've been putting up over the last 2 or 3 days. In fact, one came from Buffalo, New York. And I think the gentleman's name was Ryan Hammond, I think. I'm trying to remember, but he was very kind to the stream. And he says, man, we've had 6 feet of snow in Buffalo, and I can only imagine what it's like in Ukraine. And thank you for providing this service each night where we can find out the truth and a safe place to donate. So, Ryan, thank you, and a big shout out to you. All right, guys, with that said, here we go. Let's get ready. Got the man here. And good morning to you, sir. Welcome.
Good evening.
Yeah, flag's looking good. Hopefully we keep power for the next 30 minutes or so, and we'll be good to go. I know you've had a good day, and we're going to talk about it, and that's where we're going to start right now. For those of you wondering out there, it's cold. Real
no
cold.
Questions. I mean,
in fact, so earlier tonight, getting snow tires for the van, winter tires. And I went ahead and told Zhenya the other night, I said, man, don't get just 4, get 5, get an extra one, not only for the spare tire, but, you know, the bottom line is when you go down to where we go, he goes or we go, you pick up shrapnel, you can shred a tire in a millisecond. So that's good. But you sent me a video in just a few minutes ago, well, hours ago, but this is, if you guys want to know what the snow is like in Khmelnytsky, here you go. It's one of our volunteers.
Good amount of snow, huh? Достаточно снега, да?
Let me ask you something. Was that your car?
no.
You just brushing somebody else's car off to be kind?
No, my relative. I had to help.
Good. But it's cold, lots of snow. And we're going to give a quick look. We got tires on the van. You guys helped buy that van and the tires. So
Yeah.
if you want to know where your donations are going, your donations financially put tires on this van tonight, bought extra tire so that we can make the runs where we have to make as safe as possible. Here's getting some tires.
Tire service, putting the winter tires on our van, preparing for new run, winter run.
There's our van. Man, it just looks cold.
Yeah, a little bit.
Van looking good,
It's
getting the
summer.
tires on. But think about this business there. If the power went out, they're done. Fortunately, there was power.
People getting more and more businesses are buying electric generator, and By the way, just seems to me a week ago, our government made a special correction in the law for the customs. We don't need, the people don't need to pay extra, like a clear customs fee for the generators.
Good.
It's free of taxes.
Good.
For that.
I think when I get there, we're going to have to find a generator just to make sure. Keep a little heat. Find me a generator. It was interesting, though, on your little statement there, preparing the van, getting tires, because it sounded like, I know you said preparing for the next run or our run, meaning to the south or to the east, but it also sounded like you said preparing for Iran, which we are preparing for Iran too with the missiles and the drones. So there we have it, folks. So let's get to it, Zhenya. We're going to move through this tonight. This is the president of the Ukraine Energy Company came out and said 100% of our thermal and hydropower plants, not destroyed, but have taken some damage. So there's not a facility in Ukraine that does not have at least a little bit of damage. That's significant, man. It's a big country, very big.
This is reality, and this is the way Russia were preparing, and they fight, having a war, fight with others. So yes, but we have good news on that as well. Yes, completely or partially destroyed, we have like 100% of that kind of places, but our guys preparing and doing different plans. And at this moment, the prognosis, let's say, it's the future possibility calculation says that it's really low risk having like 100%, like a complete blackout, at least
Good.
for the more than like 4 days. This is what our guys are doing, trying to do it to be prepared for the Russian terrorist attacks.
They're being as wise as
protect our
possible.
civilians.
And in fact, we're going to talk about the attack later that's going against Europe. But right now, we'll continue with the gas issue. Here, you can read this for folks or summarize it. But this is from RIA Novosti, which is Russian news, talking about gas shutoffs to Moldova. And saying it's going to be Ukraine's fault when Moldova is now going to be sitting in the cold. That's basically what that says, because the gas is transiting through Ukraine to get to places like Moldova, and they have contracts with them, and they're even saying that Ukraine is diverting gas, all this mess. But Moldova every day is becoming a bigger player in this war. Bigger.
I think the players, Russia picking up the players by possibility. By accessibility. And the Moldova is not the big country. It's not a part of NATO, and they have some pro-Russian people in there.
Yes.
Plus their location, plus Transnistria, plus contracts with Ukraine, plus they are like between, let's say, in Ukraine and some European countries, and all of that makes it, putting them under attack. And yes, it probably, the Moldova will be just the beginning for the gas.
Yes, you stated last night actually a very good comment when we were talking about Moldova, and that's 2 nights in a row dealing with Moldova, but Moldova would be like a very vital piece of land for them to seal off that southern strip, blocking the Black Sea, give them a little bit more there. So that's why geographically it's important. Now, for the next couple of minutes, Zhenya, I want to look at the map. Got several maps here we're going to look at and some different issues related to it. Here we have Institute for the Study of War releasing their update today, showing the blue where Ukraine has pushed. You have heard Zhenya talk about the city of Snigorivka, which is right there in the top blue. In fact, we can tell people if you look up right in the middle, where we base out of would be just to the right of Novi Bug. When we're living there, that's where our little home base is with the family we stay with. And then we drive down, Mykolaiv, Boshtanka, and down into all these regions where Ukraine is pushing. So we know this region extremely well. Extremely well. This is where our partner Oleg works. This is where we are repairing vehicles through stuff we've given. You name it. We've done a lot of work in this region. It will continue. But green arrows there, Institute for the Study of War, and I'll actually give us this map as well here. Institute for the Study of War is saying the control of these two rivers, which is the Dnipro and the Bug River coming out of Mykolaiv, are really the focus of Ukraine right now, because they can control those ports in Kherson and Mykolaiv. It's very important. So a lot of the push is there on the gold arrows to kind of seal up that part of the river. And on the right, of course, that's also where Ukraine is pushing, just above Novokakhovka. So those rivers are massive. We've been all over that region, and whoever controls those has an advantage. Yes?
Yes, and for that, our guys doing some, I would say, quiet operation on the Kinburg's area, that the piece of like island, like a town.
Yeah, so that would be the second gold arrow from the left. It's really lots of islands in there.
Yes, there is a lot of islands, and it's not a place for to prepare to move there a big quantity of military troops, but we need to have it free. I mean, we need to have it deoccupied. Then it just gives us other level of freedom. It's a strategic place.
Yeah, very strategic. So it's a place, as Zhenya said, when you deal with those islands down there, we can go back to the map. There's not a lot of infrastructure there. There's not like a lot of bridges and causeways, but they're vital places. So you're talking, just think about this. It's cold, it's windy, it's on the water. It's tough going right now, but Ukraine making a good push down there, and we're very thankful for it. Let's jump over here. Another good thing that Ukraine is doing, striking hard near Tokmak. So for those of you looking at the geography of Ukraine, this is going to be south of Zaporozhye and north of Melitopol. To the left there, you see the Energodar symbol, where the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant is. Over the last couple of days, we've heard some really good reports of Ukraine striking warehouses, supply lines in that Tokmak region. So that's very good news, hitting and knocking out some supplies. Yes?
Yeah, for that, yes, and I think we do it just in time, and our guys trying to do it as soon as possible, because there's some more reinforcement goes from Russia to those areas. They're trying to make it, to make more strong their position and more quantities of the people, of the soldiers. So not just that area. I would say if we don't have time to name a lot of it, but we have a lot of places. Our guys regularly striking the warehouses. It's important. This place is huge, let's say, for that.
Let's just make a commentary statement here. And I know it's on Ukrainian sovereign territory where these battles are being fought, but Ukraine strikes military targets, warehouses, supply lines, normal things in war. And Russia strikes civilian targets, warehouses for the humanitarian aid And that leads me in to this. This is a look at that map a little differently. For reference, there's Zaporozhye on the left, bottom left, Energodar, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. On the right, the green circle is Guliopol. That is the place Zhenya has told us repeatedly. It's the next hot battle area there in the Zaporozhye region. Very important. The reason it's important, if you look at the map and look around Guliopol, whoever controls that city, it'll make it much easier for that military to control the region around it because it's very rural and small villages. But with that said, I now come to Orikhiv. And Orikhiv is a city it's Ukraine. Ukraine controls it. But this is right above Tokmak, where Russia is being struck at their supply lines, their warehouses. And what does Russia do to respond? Well, in Orikhiv yesterday, they struck humanitarian warehouse. Yes, I have lots of photos of this and a couple about all I can show, because on the left porch there, yes, that is a person who was standing in line to get some food. Typical building down in southern Ukraine. This was struck by an S-300. And as far as I know, they said it was S-300. And inside the warehouse, all the food, the aid destroyed. And honestly, to be honest, that's real good English. But this is exactly what the warehouses look like when Zhenya goes or we go to pick up aid. For example, we will go to Ternopil and pick up aid. It looks just like this. They're in cardboard boxes. They've come from all over the world. You go in, you're hand picking the stuff that you're there to pick up. And unfortunately, this is the target that Russia strikes. There was quite a few people there that lost their life.
Yep. All the time when we talk about the two strikes from Ukrainian side and Russian side, we need to remember that yes, it's everything. What's happening is on Ukrainian territory. Mm-hmm. So all of these Russian people, and they call them the military, they're terrorists because they didn't proclaim the war, and they're on the territory of other country killing people. That's terrorism. So every time when we talk about Ukrainian strikes, Ukraine fighting on our own territory and striking not Ukrainian people, striking terrorists. We are not interested to strike on, get more territory. We have enough territory. We are not invaders. Mm-hmm. And it's important to remember that even a lot of times there is a Geneva Convention and so on. Forget about that. These people they didn't proclaim a war. They're terrorists. This is principal situation. Doesn't matter what kind of news you will read. This is a terrorist. They are not even military.
And we're going to see more about that. And here's the deal. It's not just the soldiers that are terrorists, but yes, the regime behind them and the supporters of this activity in Russia, they're all terrorists. That's the way it is. If you're supporting it, you are one. And we're going to hear some stuff about that here in a little bit out of Moscow. Let's jump over to the east. Of course, there's Kramatorsk, city we base out of. And you can see the front lines there, folks. It's really, really hot. Bakhmut and all of that region. This is actually called the Severodonetsk front because Severodonetsk is right over here to the right. You have Lysychansk, which we talked about months and months ago. But this line here, and remember that orange line of the M3 highway, who controls that will control the region. That's a fact. Easy. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And of course, we've ridden and used that road many, many times. But it's just, this is real war here raging. Battles in these little villages, shelling. Some of it's urban, a little closer face to face. Just a very tough area there.
And at this area, Russian terrorists are using the criminals. They made them like mercenaries, the private army soldiers. So the people, the criminals who were sitting in the prisons got a contract approved by Russian government. If you go to fight in Ukraine, killing Ukrainians, you will survive. You will be free.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a redemption, and just think about that. It's thousands of criminals approved
Correct.
by Russian government, getting freedom, not punishing for the murder. You want kill the others, but Ukrainians, and then you will be free. Forgiveness.
And if by chance, correct me if I'm wrong, but if by chance you're killed there, your family will receive money for your life. That was a part
for soldiers.
Of it. For the soldiers, yes.
Yes.
If you're killed there,
yes.
your family will
yes.
get money. So either way, you're taking care of your family and your nation, and you're out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
And very dangerous criminals there. Let's go a little south now. Avdiivka. You can see Russia trying to encircle it. I've got Avdiivka there in the black circle. Once again, this would be a city, 35,000 typically in population. Think about that for where you live. It's a sizable town. And he who controls Avdiivka, it will make it much easier, because once you pass Avdiivka, lots of rural areas and small towns. That's why the battle there is so hot. And for you and I, we have personal friends fighting there in Avdiivka. And we know firsthand stories. That's another place it's very, very hot.
Mm-hmm. And it's principal place for Russian terrorists, because this is a place they're trying to get years and years. They couldn't. They're trying to get there because you can, from the roof of the 10 floors building, you can see Donetsk and Donetsk airport, like the ruins of it. And so it's really close.
Question for you. Who is shelling in Energodar, Zaporozhye nuclear power plant specifically? Ukraine or the terrorist? It's just a question.
Okay.
It's just a question.
It's the question is, the answer is simple.
Who?
Russia.
Okay. Now, would you believe that they are so open in this war now as to what they're doing? Remember, Zhenya, when the war started, denazification, demilitarization, language problems, and liberating our people. That was the special operation. Now, forget that. It's full-blown war. It's not against Ukraine. It is, but Ukraine is becoming the stepping stone to fight against other nations. And it doesn't have to be bullets flying. It can be gas not rolling. There's more weapons than just bullets. Cold, hunger, economic war. It's all happening right in front of our face. But now they're so bold. Here is Gazeta.ru. You want to read that?
Okay. It says, shortly, the attacks on Zaporozhye nuclear power plant will be stopped when Ukraine will sign a document with the guarantees. This is what Rosenergoatom says.
So the Gazette.ru news service, official, and Rosenergoatom, which is, the Russian energy plant, says, okay, the shelling against Zaporozhye nuclear power plant will stop when Kyiv agrees to certain things. First of all, that's holding a hostage, number one, and which is not ethical. And number two, they're basically saying we're shelling it and we'll stop.
Yeah,
We'll stop risking the world for a nuclear accident disaster when Kyiv agrees. They're trying to force through the nuclear power plants, infrastructure, cold and hunger, Ukraine to quit in this war. That's what they're trying to do.
and if they regularly, day by day, every couple of days, they attacking this power plant with having success in kind of damage. For example, for today, after the latest one shelling, there were a leakage, not radioactive, but there were a leakage, one of the liquids for that. So like they showing the world, it's really close. It's really close. Think about that. It's really close. And the question is how world would, answer it.
So today, and I know it's not radioactive, so we're not spreading incorrect information, but whether it be cooling or other infrastructure there, we've had some leaks today.
Yes.
So there you have it. Now, title of the program tonight is How Many Missiles Does Russia Have? Janie and I have continually said that they will not run out. I'm a firm believer of that because A, they have more than you think. B, they're manufacturing more. C, they're getting weapons from North Korea, Iran. They're not going to run out. But what's the official word from Ukraine? Here is Alexei Danilov. This is a quote from him today. He said, Russia has the resources for another 4 massive missile strikes. This is Danilov. Danilov, we have reliable information about the presence of certain types of weapons ready to go from the Russian Federation. We understand how many are left. They have 13% of their Iskanders left. They have 32% of their KH-22s. But unfortunately, the S-300 missile supply is immense, and there are too many of them to accurately count. The S-300 attacks are nonstop in Zaporozhye, Kherson, and the Kharkiv region. This is Defense Minister Alexei Danilov stating today. Now, with that said, I remind you, the S-300's not the hypersonic, it's not the megas, but when an S-300 hits the ground, it's a 20-meter, 60 feet wide crater, 5 meters deep. It's extremely powerful. And not only did Danilov say this, I'll show you this graphic and then we'll get your comment on it tonight. Danilov, who is the defense minister, this came out from the Ukrainian defense today. Russian high precision missile arsenal. Iskanders, they had 900. They've made 48 more. They've fired 600 and some. They have 119 left, 13% left. And then you move to the Oryx. They have 470. They've fired 120 some, 74% left. S-300s, they think they have 8,000. They have basically 7,000 left, 87% of their stockpile. Then we go to sea-based caliber missiles, cruises. They have 500. They've made 120 more. They have 229 left, according to Ukrainian intelligence, 37% supply. And then you move to air. You have KH-101s, KH-555s, KH-22s, KH-35s, and the KH-47s. These are all Kinjals, folks. These are bad boys. Some of these are hypersonic. 50%, 50%, 32%, 41%, 73%. And you can see on the KH-101s, they're making more. They've made 120 more. On the KH-35s, they've made 360 more. And on the KH-47s, they made 16 more. The bottom line is 4,700 missiles plus now have been fired in 270 days, and they're not running out anytime soon.
Yes, and I really think that some of the positions, like the last one, the Kinjal
Yeah.
KH-47M2, it
Yes.
says that they only have 43. I really think they have much more. Just think about that. Russia were preparing it 8 years ago. 9 years ago, let's say.
Yeah.
They started this war. So they openly got on Ukrainian territory with the tanks, with the military guys. They were preparing it, the second phase, the second part, and years they were planned. And I really don't believe that everything we know, which is open, Russia says, okay, that's it. Otherwise, Russia will do something else if they will be running out of the missiles.
Well, let me
I
ask you
think they
this.
have much more, plus Iran, plus North Korea, plus China, plus other people, plus we still don't know all the parts and CPUs what countries are supplying, because these countries, including European countries or United States, doesn't know which way they were getting these CPUs and chips.
We've said it from the beginning, and we'll stick with it. We trust the Ukrainian military. We trust President Zelensky. We trust their information. One thing we don't trust is Russia. They will not tell the truth. So if those numbers are floating around, I'll agree with you. They have more than that. And with that said, let's say that's all they have, and Danilov is right. And they could do with those supplies another 4 massive strikes like we had that really rocked Ukraine on several occasions. At this point, if that happened again, 4 more massive strikes, let's just be honest, infrastructure is gone, period. Gone.
Yes, and one more fact, I understand, agree completely. One more fact, we don't have any statistic on shooting down their S-300 from Ukrainian side. We don't have any statistics of hitting and shooting down their S-300 by our air defense forces or so on. So it means reality. There is a big danger of that, and we need much more help to protect to close out the skies.
The title of the program tonight is "How Many Missiles Do Russia Have?" And the answer is plenty.
A lot.
Period.
A lot.
And thinking
and
about
we will
that,
see more.
We will see more. And here's where we're going to see them from. We're going to tell you tonight. We're going to see them from Iran. They're in bonded relationship. And right now, this came out of Israeli intelligence, Great Britain intelligence, Iran there. And that is at the Forcow. My eyes are so messed up. I can't wait to get to the next doctor. Iranian enrichment there is happening at 60%. Israel says it's enough to make 4 nuclear weapons. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, and I'll stand by this. Iran will continue to supply Russia with weapons. Russia will continue to give Iran technology, understanding, money, all of those things. And soon Israel is going to strike Iran. They're going to strike this nuclear facility. I'm not trying to get biblical and prophetic. I'm just telling you, this is what's going to happen. It happens in the past. Israel will not wait for them to get to 90% enrichment. Israel's going to protect their little nation. They're going to take out that place. And then this war in Russia or in Ukraine, that Russia is the invader and the terrorist, is going to sink even to a deeper level, and other nations will become involved. It's my prediction. It's ugly. It's all connected, all of it.
And the important question to think, and it's just possible to think about that just a little bit. if Iran would get at least some, nuclear weapon, and world would do nothing with that, the next step would be 10 or 20 or 30 more countries will see. It will be the proof for them. The world is too weak to control that.
Correct.
Then country by country will start a new, the new age of, having the nuclear weapon. Why? Here is the example. Ukraine gave out their nuclear. Look what is going on. Iran were under the sanctions. What now? They continue coming. The question: who can give a guarantee? Reality, the fact. It's not like okay, like reality. Is it the facts? Plus, Belarus, they were giving out their nuclear weapon to Russia as well, but it's okay for us to read how Lukashenko requesting, okay, Putin, we are like one union, bring some nuclears to our country.
Very interesting.
Have you read that?
The two most sanctioned nations in the world, Russia and Iran, are controlling the world scene right now.
And yes, if Israel would strike all the factories where they are working on enriching the nuclear, it will be good. It will be, the world will need to say thank you to them, to Israel, if they will hit.
Benjamin Netanyahu has been reelected. They're not going to play with it. They will strike. They've done it before. They're basically running sorties every day, striking Syria, the terrorist positions. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And we'll have it documented. Now, let's bring another nation into this. Volodymyr Zelensky today phoned and congratulated the president of Kazakhstan. His name is Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. On his victory in the early elections, he expressed interest in the further developments of bilateral relations. He thanked for the humanitarian aid from Kazakhstan. That is not a stock photo. That is the picture from today. President Zelensky speaking to the president of Kazakhstan, building a relationship. Now, with that said, look what the nut jobs did tonight.
Ну, слушайте, давайте обратим внимание на то, что следующая проблема – это Казахстан. Потому что там тоже могут начаться те же самые, извините, нацистские процессы сейчас на Украине.
Границы у нас там...
И русских там много. И территории там, извините. И Семипалатинск там. И, между прочим, и ядерное топливо для всего нашего Росатома тоже там.
Мы ее признали.
Вот в чем дело.
So, the nut jobs are right on it. Zelensky and Kazakhstan talking. Here they go. Now, Kazakhstan's our big problem. Why? We receive our fuel for Rosatom there. It's an important place. Isn't that where the Cosmodrome is too, where they fire into the space? Is in Kazakhstan. Yes, it's not in Russia. It's in Kazakhstan from the Soviet Union days. And now they're saying, okay, Kazakhstan, Nazis are there. You're next.
It's important. I think we need to pay attention on Kazakhstan because the changes they experienced last couple of years. It's very important to realize for Russia. Why? Because Kazakhstan, they didn't follow the Russian way with the presidents and elections. So Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, the new law, in constitution, they have it. It's 7 years, and after the 7 years, according to their laws, he cannot be re-elected anymore and taking this position. Plus, according to their rules, no one from the relatives can be somewhere in a political position around him. Plus, Germany and Europe, Europe invested over 100 billions to Kazakhstan straight.
Mhm.
and they were raised it up to 300 billions. And they building relationship straight with Kazakhstan, not through the Russia with Kazakhstan, which is important. And I think it will be interesting.
You know
This is
what?
why they call, okay, these processes in Kazakhstan, they're trying to go the Nazi way. What? They,
Correct. And here's what's interesting. Okay, I'm doing this on the fly, but look at this. Ukraine, of course, in the blue here. Maybe folks don't know a lot of this geography. Here's Ukraine in the blue. Look at the size of Kazakhstan compared. I just outlined it while you were talking. There's the capital, Astana, Kazakhstan. We're talking about a massive piece of territory. And of course, it is the land that is between China and Russia. Here's Mongolia on the border, but this is what land-wise is between them. Below Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Iran, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, of course, Pakistan, Afghanistan, all of this, and Kazakhstan's right in the middle. So very, very vital, very important piece of land, and we'll be watching it. We're here every day. I believe Moldova, Iran with Israel, and now Kazakhstan going to become bigger stories. With that said, let's move to Andrei Yermak, head of the office of the president of Ukraine. He's the big boss there. Here, can you read this for us? This is today's tweet from him this afternoon. Is it big enough for you to see?
It's okay. He says about that the attacks on peaceful cities, on civilian objects, and manipulating and the threats. This is the elements of Russian strategy, and the goal for this is to raise up the massive humanitarian catastrophe. I mean, the terrible situation. And to provoke the next crisis for refugees in Europe, for what? To force Ukraine to peace,
Correct.
or to create a pressure and force West countries to force Ukraine to peace.
This, my friend, is the definition of terrorism. And Andrei Yermak, I mean, we're talking top level. Whenever you see President Zelensky, this guy's with him. He's the real big dude. Always with the president. He is his spokesperson out of the office of the president. So when he's talking, this would be like Kuleba, Zelensky, all these key guys. And what I like about the Ukrainian guys, they're working together good at the top level. They really are. They're supporting each other, and I'm proud of them. Now, with that said, that's Yermak talking about that, and that's their strategy. Here comes the nut job saying the world is against us, and then they will reveal their strategy. Check these two clips out.
Ну, понятно, что Европа нам объявила войну, НАТО нам объявила войну, нас пытаются превратить в изгоя, поэтому нам надо готовиться воевать до конца. И, судя по всему, придется пройтись по Европе тоже. Трибунал они хотят, ну, получат новый Нюрнберг против этой нацистской европейской мрази. На этом фоне, когда читаешь, что Великобритания поставила Украине модернизированные ракеты «Бримстоун» с лазерным наведением, с 2 раза увеличенной дальностью пуска, и при этом идет истерика. Иран, не смей продавать России свои ракеты. Ты хочешь сказать, вы что, вообще все охренели? Когда шли вопли, что ракета российского производства упала на территорию Польши, исходя из этого, Россия чуть ли не виновата. Извините, а по нашей территории хреначат давно по территории Белгорода хреначат иностранными ракетами. А мы по-прежнему утираемся? Или когда я слышу от наших депутатов Государственной Думы, глубоко, кстати, уважаемых мной, заявление, что нет, зачем говорить о ядерном оружии, а чем мы еще можем ответить? Против нас 50% экономики, против нас вооруженные силы НАТО, представлены их разведные составляющие, инструкторской составляющей, представлены на земле и якобы ЧВКшниками, в том числе американскими, которые, ясно, судя по возрасту, никакие не ЧВКшниками, а действующие сотрудники и действующие военнослужащие польской и всяких прочих армий.
This is why Yermak came out saying what he's saying, because this is the venom being spewed out of Moscow and what they're believing. Then, because of that, here comes their strategy.
Телеграм. Есть перечень всех мостов через Днепр, всех ЖД мостов на западе Украины, все тяговые подстанции, критически важные подстанции на границе с Польшей, список депо, 2 списка и список восстановительных поездов. Вот это все должно быть разрушено. Если будет разрушена инфраструктура, сами граждане Украины станут оружием. Пожалуйста, езжайте в Польшу, езжайте в Германию. Пусть на вас тратят больше денег. Если не будет мирного населения, будет легче наносить удары по военным объектам, если будут пустые эти районы и города.
Clearly. And now listen, the guy's telling the truth in his mind. That is their strategy. Destroy the infrastructure, force more people to leave Ukraine. They become weaponized economically against Europe. This is what Yermak was talking about. And then Ukraine will be forced to negotiate, or Western powers, NATO, US, Germany, whoever will say, Kyiv, you must negotiate. That's completely the plan that's laid out. Yermak, and there's a couple of videos to validate it. That's the strategy.
Yes, it's their strategy, and I think their strategy includes and calculates the position of NATO countries in this moment, and not to be involved straight. I mean, like this way, and no, not the military, not their troops, not even serious weapons like heavy tanks or fighter jets, anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is they are continuing threatening the world with the things with the nuclear and doing all of that, and they just destroying our country, all possible places, doing a nightmare. And at this moment, it looks like genocide of the other nation, if it's inside of Europe, right in the very center of Europe, it means not enough to break completely all the possible connection with that country, even now. And this is genocide.
100%. Folks, there you have it. Really, really full update tonight. Title of the program, once again, how many missiles does Russia have? They've got plenty. We see Kazakhstan jumping on board as a bigger story, Moldova. And then, of course, the strategy. Destroy Ukraine and to pressure them to surrender, to quit, to give up by knocking power out, forcing Ukrainian citizens abroad. This is the strategy, but we stand by. It's not going to happen. Ukraine is going to win this war, period.
And I believe this is like a battle of this age.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because if the dragon with this one head will not be killed, then we will have tens of the other heads and dragons rising up.
Go ahead, man.
Because at this moment, yes, it's like this empire's motivation about, okay, we have right to tell these countries what to do and not to do, to tell our neighbor countries what language they have used and what kind of limits they can have. We will point and rule all of these countries, letting them know what we agree with or we disagree, and they have to change. This country it should be a public punishment, because if this country, the like big one and this crazy like this, will not be stopped by world society, be prepared for the other 10 of this.
dragons. Well, Jacob, say it
Yes.
this way: if we make it biblical, and this is actually directly from President Zelensky. Many, many times he has used the reference David versus Goliath, and we know David won. But David was not satisfied with knocking the giant down. He went over, he took the giant sword, and he cut his head off. Biblical, may sound ugly, but it's exactly what we're saying. This is what Ukraine keeps saying. We can't just knock them down, knock them back 10 years. They'll come at us again. This is the time. It has to be defeated, destroyed, never to come back again. This is this ideology, this mentality. And if we don't, the world's next. So there you have it.
And one more thought.
Go ahead.
Do you know what, I mean, incubator? Do you have the incubator? Like
Incubator. Of course we have an incubator. Everybody knows what incubator is.
So at this moment, because of the long period of war, the world, and let's say with the world this level of involvement, the Russia is becoming an incubator of what? Check the Russian rhetorics a year or 2 years ago, just as civil people on the streets. Oh, Ukrainians, our brother nation, and Putin, it was the same. What do we hear now after the 9 months of war on the same streets? Oh, we need to cut their throat. All of these Ukrainians.
Them. Erase them.
Eliminate them. They are not even human. This is why, because this is the only way Russia can control their people. And it's incubating new Putins.
Correct. Very good English word there, bud. Incubator. In Russian or Ukrainian, is it incubator? How do you say it in Ukrainian? Incubator.
Incubator.
I nailed it.
Correct. 100%. Incubator.
All right, my friend. You're right. Folks, hope you enjoyed the update tonight. As always, thank you. And consider yourself up to this moment completely updated. This is what's happening in Ukraine. Thank you for standing with us. Thank you for being faithful. Thank you for continuing to give. We'll be here every day keeping you updated. Jacob, thank you, bud. Oh, look at here. The man drew the heart tonight.
Yes.
A good night to all.
To all a good night, friends.